Hi, this is the Business of Creativity podcast. Hi, welcome to the Business of Creativity podcast. Today it's episode 2 and we're looking at mental health and creativity. I've got a very special guest and that's my sister, Amy. Amy has worked as an occupational therapist across a variety of mental health services over the past 13 years, supporting adults and young people, including in the forensic mental health care system. She's recently moved into education, working as a teaching assistant for young people who have been excluded from mainstream education, many of whom have social, emotional, and mental health needs. So join us on today's episode where we'll be looking at the role of creativity in mental health care. Hello, Amy, and welcome to the show.
Hello.
How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Yes, I'm fine. Thank you for joining me. So let's get started. As you know, the first question for the Business of Creativity podcast is to ask either your favorite film or your favorite book. So I think we've decided today that we're going to go with your favorite film. So tell us what it is.
Okay. My favourite film is Lost in Translation, which actually I haven't watched for a little while, but
Good choice.
I really enjoyed that film. I mean, having been to Japan, as you know, just so many moments in that film that took me right back to my own visit there, and so many things I could relate to.
Yeah.
So I really enjoyed it for that side of things, but also just a very sort of simple but moving story about connection, and I think the two things combined just made it a really good film for me.
Yes. I think, didn't we go to the cinema together to watch that? I think maybe that was just before I moved to Japan, but I can't quite remember now. But yeah, it's a lovely story and interesting fact. So the other night I watched a film called In the Mood for Love, which is a Hong Kong film.
Oh yeah.
And apparently that was the largest inspiration for Sofia Coppola's film Lost in Translation. So there's some similarities there, that sort of very subtle relationship between two people. And but Lost in Translation is an absolute classic. It will never age.
Yeah, and Bill Murray.
Yes.
I
If
mean,
you've
it's
got
brilliant.
Bill Murray, then that's a
Bill
good
Murray
choice.
fan.
Yeah, we are happy with that choice. Okay. So, on the show, we talk about how people use creativity in their work or how it features in their work. So, do you want to give people a little bit of background how creativity is featured in your career?
Well, sort of a bit of a background on my sort of work history then that's relevant. So I used to work as an occupational therapist in mental health services. And so the role of an occupational therapist is to support people to recover from illness. It uses therapeutic activity. It's about rehabilitation. And the sort of the philosophy behind it is that somebody who's healthy isn't necessarily simply symptom free of an illness, but they are able to carry out all the activities in their life that they need to do, that they want to do, so that they have a sense that their life is meaningful, purposeful. It really looks at the whole person, the individual patient as well, and looks at yeah, how to help people on their sort of recovery journey. Within that work, often we would, as I say, we'd use a lot of therapeutic activities with the individuals that we worked with, and they were, a variety of activities. But creativity was something that really featured, very sort of strongly within the various activities that we used, and it could be anything from um, uh, creative writing, activities to do with music, art, pottery, gardening, baking, cooking, all sorts of different ways to put people in touch with some creativity. And it's interesting, one of the things that featured very heavily in my training was the idea of flow. So this state of flow that people get into when they're doing an activity. It was a term coined by a psychologist whose name it was Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Apologies if I've mispronounced that, but he recognised the benefits of getting into this flow state. So where you find yourself doing an activity and you're just thoroughly absorbed in it.
Absorbed, yeah.
Yeah. So it's that being in the zone, being absorbed by an activity, not really being aware of the time passing. You're very much in the moment and in the activity. And it gives you a sense of, being present, being focused, and doing something, I guess, positive. So that was a really important feature of the sort of the activities that we use with people. Like I say, often creative activities were very good for inducing that sort of state of flow. So
because you've worked with a range of different types of patients, haven't you? So from adults and children, but and seriously kind of ill people, sort of, right up to the level of kind of schizophrenia. So you've seen quite a variety of situations, and you've had to put that creativity to use in various different ways with a lot of different types of people.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked with people who've presented with all sorts of difficulties, challenges to their health, and often people who've really struggled with things such as motivation, obviously, mood, which impacts on motivation, and so sometimes I worked on an acute mental health ward for a little while, and sometimes it was something as simple as taking colouring onto the ward for people to have a go at. So when people are feeling very, very low, depressed, often their motivation is very low. Often their self-confidence, their self-esteem is very low. And trying to get around to do anything much can feel like a real battle for people sometimes. So sometimes something just as simple as sitting with a person and doing some colouring. I mean, it sounds, in some ways, it sounds like a very sort of basic, almost childlike thing to do. You think of colouring. Although, having said that, I think nowadays more and more we hear about this idea of mindfulness colouring.
Yes, yeah, I've seen the colouring books in the bookshops, for adults.
And yes, exactly. And I think they're a great idea. And I saw the benefits of using something like that with the people that I worked with. Like I say, when motivation was very low, confidence was very low. It was a simple activity, but again, it was an activity that could just spark that experience of being in flow, which was great, which was great for people to experience that.
But did you find that people were very receptive to you and to these types of activities, when you were on these wards, these people in some of these people were kind of sectioned, weren't they? I mean, they were in this kind of serious situation. did you find they were kind of receptive to all of this, or were they quite reluctant in the beginning, or maybe reluctant in the beginning, but then found that it was actually very helpful? Like, how do people respond to being told, we're going to try some of these creative activities? Maybe some of them were skeptical.
Well, we only ever encourage people, and and everybody's different, and everyone has their preferences. Some people, it wouldn't be what would capture their interest at all, and that's fine. And part of our work was to find the different things that were important to the individual, and that might help to sort of spark some sense of motivation or so on. So always very different. But yeah, I mean, there were plenty of people who, we had a lovely. We had a beautiful art room at the hospital where I worked, and it was just a lovely space for people to be, actually. And people didn't necessarily have to, the sessions that we ran, it wasn't that people had to come along. You will come along to art and you will do some
It's
art.
like
It
the
wasn't that
nurse
at
from
all.
One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. I
No,
don't know
we've
if you've seen
definitely,
that or watched
yeah.
or read the book.
Yeah,
So
well, we've definitely moved on a long, long way from that. And but what we had was, with the art room, was just a space for people to come along to, even if they just wanted to have a cup of tea, um, and maybe a little chat, or even if they wanted to sit quietly. It was a space that was very, colourful and welcoming. And of course, yeah, we did have lots of people that we worked with who really enjoyed the activities. And obviously, so I've met some very talented people over the years. People that do some lovely artwork. They're sort of like, oh, I'd love to be, I'd love to be able to do some of the things that the people that I'd worked with had done. But
yeah.
yeah, so I think always trying to inspire that sort of spark in people where we could, and
Yeah.
based on what might interest them. Yeah.
Yeah, because I remember last week, so I recorded episode 1 with Richard Berger, and he gave this great quote about kind of, it was something like, when you feel like you're exposing too much of yourself, you're letting sort of too many of your emotions out, then that's when you're really getting it right. So, and I could really get on board with that. But I guess there are some people who do kind of celebrate um, this enjoyment that you can get from creativity by sort of looking into all these thoughts and feelings and then bringing them out and sort of playing around with it. Whereas for some people, they really couldn't imagine doing
Yeah.
anything worse. It's
Yeah.
some people like it, enjoy it. Some people, it's scary. It can be very scary, and they don't really
Yeah.
necessarily want to kind of bring that sort of vulnerable side out or show too much emotion.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's absolutely true, and you have to respect that, don't you? I think creative activities can be. I think there's an inherent sort of joy in creativity, and it can allow people to express something of themselves, perhaps in with things that they haven't been able to articulate before, or just sometimes, just even things like going back to the colouring, sort of just the rhythm of the doodles and the
Yeah.
up and down strokes of a paintbrush. I think there's something in that can be really really helpful to people. But yes, when you express some of what's kind of inside, it can make you feel a bit vulnerable. So for some people, yeah, the idea of singing or painting a picture or writing a piece of creative writing, that can feel quite daunting. So
Yeah.
creative activities are a brilliant tool to use, where people feel comfortable to engage with that.
Yeah.
And you have to take it at people's pace, at people's own pace.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know that you've mentioned in the past about how far this has all come in the past sort of 100 years. 100 years ago, this idea of being in a hospital and setting up creative activities was probably pretty non-existent. But thankfully, things have moved on. And I know you've mentioned before about sort of treating the person holistically instead of, um, perhaps
Checking off
go.
symptoms and
Yes, yeah, yeah. So I guess from your perspective, this is all positive, and it's a sign of great progress in terms of working with people who are experiencing mental illness or difficulties.
yeah. Well, I'm fascinated by the health of by the history of mental health issues, of the systems. And yeah, there have been massive changes. Even the short time that I've worked in mental health services, there have been changes.
Mm,
Occupational therapy, I mean, the root of that has very much been about there was always this emphasis on and encouraging patients to use their hands, to be active and to be doing and to be
mm,
productive and constructive, um, with the idea that would help to sort of bring about positive change. And I think it was around sort of World War II. The occupational therapists were sort of, to begin to work with people in this way, although they weren't the first people to work with people in
mm,
this way. I mean, even before that, there was this, move towards more humane treatment. You think about
mm,
a couple of 100 years ago, you hear about the sort of the abuse that took place in the quote lunatic asylums, and
mm,
um, but there was always this sort of gradual move towards treating people in a very humane way and more
mm.
holistic way, and
Yeah,
occupational therapy was very much on board with that.
yeah.
And yeah, if my history is correct, sort of started to really flourish around the
Mm.
era of kind of World War II. So
Okay,
yeah.
it's interesting. Um, and as for your own career, I know sort of now you've moved from occupational health, occupational therapy, and now you're in sort of more of the education sector. So just tell us a little bit about what you're doing at the moment.
Mm. So yeah, I've taken a little bit of a sidestep from mental health services, or at least NHS mental health services, into education.
Mm,
Um, so I'm now working as a teaching assistant, teaching predominantly English to students in alternative provision, students who have been excluded from mainstream school.
mm,
And who, typically have social, emotional, mental health needs.
mm,
So, yeah, really enjoying this as a new phase of my career, and
mm.
enjoying. Yeah, I mean, teaching English has given plenty of opportunity to put creativity into practice
Yeah.
with students.
And how are they responding to all of this? Are
Well,
they enjoying the sessions with you?
well, you'd have to ask them. But well, again, it's a very individual thing because I mean, I love the writing, I love the reading, literature and all of that. And but again, it comes down to preference. And for some people, yeah, they're really on board with it, and
Mm,
other people are a bit reticent. And
mm,
perhaps their memories of being at school is, having to read a particular text and really not
mm.
being able to relate to it.
Yeah.
I mean, unfortunately, it happens that way sometimes, doesn't it?
Yes.
I
Yeah.
remember back to my school days when there might be texts that I just think,
Name one. Name one text. I bet I know which it is. Name one text that makes you
I
think,
think,
oh, never again.
Yeah, I think we both know what it is. I think the one text that I just couldn't get into was James Joyce's A Portrait of the Artist as a Young Man.
Yeah.
I just yeah, it just really wasn't for me. I mean, it's been a long time since I've read it, so you never know.
Yeah. Tastes change, don't they?
Yeah,
Sometimes.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So who knows if I was to venture back to that one, what I'd make of it now.
Mm,
But yeah, so for some students, even the sort of creative writing
mm.
it is difficult sometimes that there's what they kind of associate with that. And again, I think
Yeah.
it comes back to, I think in the sort of a, I mean, I teach one-to-one, but I think for some people as well, perhaps there's that association of being in a class of 30 and having to
Mm,
read aloud, or having to
yeah.
share your thoughts and your ideas.
Yes. Yeah.
It's really, really
Because
scary.
it's scary enough for the average person, let
Yeah, it
alone
can be.
someone who doesn't have that confidence necessarily, to speak
Yeah,
up. Yeah.
yeah, there's that fear of, and I think especially for younger people, sometimes that fear of your peers laughing at you,
Yeah.
or judging your
Yeah.
ideas.
Yeah.
So it can be, yeah, it can be quite scary in that respect.
Mm, mm-hmm.
But obviously I always try to make it as fun as I can for people. And again, I think taking it at a person's pace. If someone's really not comfortable with doing a piece of writing, then you have to sort of look at that and work around it or adjust
Mm,
things. Because,
yeah.
like I said, I think creativity as a tool can be really useful for some people when it's
Mm,
used in the right way. Yeah.
yeah. Because I guess, another totally different thing would be for sports. Some people,
Mhm.
some young people can totally get on board with that. So everyone sort of has their different area, but everybody probably enjoys that feeling of being absorbed in
Mhm.
something.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so for some people, it might be creative activities such as writing, and for others, it could be something like sport.
Mm.
But it's like we all sort of need some kind of passion to follow, don't we? And
Yes,
um,
again, it comes back to the idea. I think about feeling that you have a purpose,
mm,
that you can find meaning in something. I think those things are fundamental to positive mental health.
yeah.
Waking up in the morning feeling that you've got a purpose, feeling that your life is meaningful.
Mm,
Yeah, I think those things are really important. And
yeah.
yeah, different people find different ways of achieving that sort of sense. Yeah.
Yeah. So, we've spoken a lot about sort of very specific issues. So you've worked in what you would call, is it the forensic mental health? It's sort of with very serious cases, and you've also worked, or you are working in education with young people who are experiencing emotional, social
Mm.
difficulties. But if we just think about on a general level now, just for people kind of watching this show, thinking about in our daily lives, how can we preserve, improve, maintain our mental well-being?
Mm. Well, I think there's all sorts of different ways, isn't there? And I think it's very much, it's such an individual thing. And mental health is sort of so wrapped up in experience. And um, yeah, it's such a unique and individual thing, really. And so I think what works for one doesn't necessarily work for the other. And it's about finding, I think you've got to, I think developing self-awareness is really important, and learning about um, what works for you, what doesn't
Mm.
work for you, a little bit of trial and error.
What
Um,
what do you mean by sort of self-awareness?
Well, I think, going back to the example of I don't know, of perhaps being in school, when for a long portion of your life as a child, you're sort of told what's good for you, and
Hmm.
you sort of learn about yourself, perhaps through the messages that you hear from your peers or your teachers. And I think developing that understanding of yourself.
Mm.
Who am I in the world, and what makes me feel good about myself, and how do I
Mm.
look after myself,
Yes. Yeah.
whilst trying to look after other people as well, and
Yeah.
attend to responsibilities. But yeah, having that sense of, who am I, and what do I need
Mm.
to have a good state of sort of mental health.
Mm.
And yeah, and I think you might find that in moments of creativity, or certainly, like we say, other activities that give you that those moments of flow, of being very present. There's so much talk nowadays about mindfulness, the importance of
Mm.
being present in a
Yeah.
world where our attention is often sort of divided between, many different things.
Yeah.
Um, so
Yeah.
I think it can be useful for anyone to spend a little bit of time to just reflect on, who they are, and what they need to keep themselves well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I know we've spoken sort of in our case, I know we both like creative writing. I know you do a lot of writing in your
Mm,
free time, and I think we've both spoken about the fact that sort of our characters, we have a tendency for overthinking, a lot of rumination. I
yes.
was speaking to our friend the other day actually about this, and she was saying exactly the same thing, like ruminating. Like you finish a day
Mm,
at work, and she finds herself ruminating on things that have happened, worrying about it. And I think we've sort of spoken about this, that it sort of
mm,
can be excessive sometimes. And the great thing about creative writing is that perhaps where you've been putting that energy into kind of rumination and excessive kind of thinking, overthinking, like if you can just channel that into something a bit healthier, for example, creative writing, which allows you to sort of pick at things, analyze things, work out things, process your thoughts
mm.
and details. Like if you can channel that into like a good activity, that can be very helpful.
Yeah, I mean, so, there are certain thinking styles that are, particularly associated with things such as, low mood, anxiety, and yeah, rumination is often tied in with some of those things. And I think sometimes you have to ask yourself as well, if you find yourself ruminating over something like that, such as work or whatever it might be, is asking yourself, what's going on there. How am I feeling? What's happening for me? But yeah, for me personally, I find creative writing a very constructive way of managing that particular style of thinking, I can definitely find myself, caught up in that a lot. But I think
Mm,
there's something about creative writing where I think first of all it helps me to express kind of what the contents of that, and begin to organize it so that it starts to feel that it makes a bit more sense, that it's a bit more
mm,
manageable. And I think there's something lovely for me as well, again, about creative writing, that it doesn't matter what difficulties I might be experiencing. There's something about writing which makes it that I can start to write about it, but it's almost like I'm playing with ideas, I'm playing with language, and it becomes
mm,
something really fun, actually. For
yeah.
example, I wrote a little story about it was a bit like the Mr. Men books. I always enjoyed reading the Mr. Men books to my children, but it was a little bit like that. And I would write characters for particular feelings. And there was one called Mr. Pemberton Pickle, who was always in a pickle, and because he was stuck in a dilemma and he was full of anguish. And
Mm,
so it's sort of talking about it's talking about this experience that we often have, where we find ourselves in some kind of dilemma.
mm,
There's no good solution to the problem, and we don't know what to do. And that anguish can feel awful and quite overwhelming at times. And you're like, oh,
mm,
what should I do? And there's something about sort of writing it into a story of a little fictional character, that for me it just makes it perhaps gives me a bit of space from the feeling, or helps
mm,
me to frame things in a slightly different way, which I think again, for me personally, is a helpful thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I have seen some examples of your writing, and it certainly seems like it's working out well for you. So, yes, we look forward to seeing more.
So,
So, right. Well, we're coming up to about 30 minutes now. So, we'll wrap it up for today. But thank you very much for joining me. And thanks for giving this insight into creativity and how that's featured in your career, sort of in mental health. It's just fantastic that you can have this career, these jobs where you're able to have such a positive influence on people's lives.
well, I mean,
That's
yeah, I
really
feel very
lucky.
privileged. I feel
Yeah.
very privileged to be in that position, and I really enjoy it.
Yeah. So and with your new sort of job in education, I hope that all works out. But I'm sure the kids will very much enjoy Amy Dickins's mentoring and
Story,
tutoring, and maybe even get to
strange
write some,
stories.
yes, some Mr. Men inspired stories with you.
Yeah,
You can't go
why
wrong
not?
with that. Okay. Thanks very much, Amy, and
All right.
we'll
Yeah,
no
thank you
doubt
for
we'll
having
speak
me.
again soon.
I sure
Okay.
will. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.